So, Brooklyn Nine-Nine came to an end on Thursday, just a couple days ago. Cool, 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 cool. I'm so sad that this show is over. It's amazing. Okay, so Brooklyn Nine-Nine is my personal favorite sitcom of all time, and last year during the whole, pandemic thing, I watched a lot of TV. Um, it was like 74 new films that I'd never seen before, and like about 16 and 4/7 of a TV show. Yeah. The 4/7 one is New Girl. I watched like 4 seasons of that, and then I went back to school and quarantine was over. So, yeah, and I watched a lot of new shows last year, and a lot of them have recently, not recently, but a lot of them have cracked my top 10 favorite TV shows of all time. Those being Avatar: The Last Airbender, Community, Cobra Kai, Cheers, great show. Watch Cheers, it's amazing. And Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And The Mandalorian. I didn't get Disney Plus until like mid 2020, so I watched The Mandalorian too, and it's good. Naturally, it's The Mandalorian. Anyway, so very quickly, Brooklyn Nine-Nine had pushed ahead and established itself as my favorite sitcom, topping even other shows that I love, like The Office and Parks and Recreation and Friends, those shows. It's just such a great show, and I'm very sad that it's over. But now we have 8 full seasons to look back on, and all of them are great. But today, I, the film watcher, shall be ranking all 8 seasons of Brooklyn Nine-Nine from my least favorite to my favorite. And to be clear, there is no bad season. Like even the worst of them, I still really really like. They just have problems. So, and I mean, every season of television has problems. Just, but the top seasons of Brooklyn Nine-Nine has less problems. Let's do this. In last place is going to be season 7. So season 7, I still think is really good. Just to point that out. But unfortunately, there are a few little things that just hold it back. I feel like they kept Captain Holt out of the spot of captain for too long. So that, but, oh, by the way, there is going to be a lot of spoilers for this show in this video, so please count on that and beware if you haven't watched the full series yet. So, yes. Anyway, so yes, I feel like they kept Holt out of the captain spot for too long. And, I mean, once they got him back, it was cool, but I don't know. It just felt like that kind of dragged a tad. And then there's my biggest problem with the season, the character of Debbie Fogle, played by Vanessa Bayer, who was on SNL. Okay, so this character is in the first episode of this season as Holt's partner when he's demoted to just a standard beat cop. And she was not funny, but I guess she was mildly endearing in that first episode. I mean, she clearly got along well with Holt, but I don't know, I just didn't find her that funny. I was like, well, I didn't really care for that character. Good thing they don't bring her back. Oh, wait, they do. Yeah, that she comes back in like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 episodes, and they give her this entire subplot about how she can be whatever she wants to be and do whatever she wants to do. She just has to find self-confidence. Yay! And anyway, it was kind of annoying, and it was tacked on to an episode that was very good otherwise. It was the second Jimmy Jab Games episode, sequel to that of the Jimmy Jab Games episode from season 1. And the very next episode, well, I mean, the Jimmy Jab Games episode, the second one, from season 7, it ended with her stealing several large guns and about 5 pounds of cocaine. So the very next episode is it is revealed that she was working for this mob boss dude, and the squad has to get her to help them instead of him. And I do not like that episode. It's very annoying because it's focused on her. And I don't like her. I don't think she's funny. I find her extremely annoying. I don't know why they had her be a main or sub focus of 3 full episodes, because she is not funny or endearing. She is very annoying. And I get that she was on SNL, but whatever. This show otherwise uses SNL guest stars very effectively. Bill Hader, boom, 1 episode. This is ridiculous. I really don't like her. But overall, I still really like season 7. I like this overall plot line of the season with Jake and Amy trying to conceive. There's a really good episode where they keep trying and it's not working, and it's a great episode. The season is comprised of some filler episodes, but it's good filler. In fact, one of them includes J.K. Simmons. I love J.K. Simmons. He's one of my favorite actors ever. The Doug Judy episode is great. The Halloween or Valentine's Day, Halloween, Easter heist episode is great. It's very creative. I like it that they found a way to do something interesting for the 7th time. Anyway, and then we get a reappearance of Pimento in this really clever parody of the movie Memento, which I've never seen, but still. And then the last episode, Lights Out, is Amy going into labor during a citywide blackout, and Jake's not there because he's investigating something else going on, and it's really good. So overall, while season 7 is the weakest season of the show, in my opinion, I still find it to be very good. Number 7, season 6. I think that this season is good. There are some filler episodes that don't really work for me, and overall, I feel like it's just a little bit less good than it was in the previous 5 seasons, because the show transferred over to NBC, and because of that, they had to do some NBC things that all NBC shows have to do, like the censored swearing thing, which the show had never done up to that point, and it just feels kind of weird. And then there are just some very dumb episodes that I don't really like. The episode where Boyle's adopted kid's father, his biological father, shows up. I just don't care about that episode. The therapist episode is just kind of blah. So, yeah, overall, it's not one of the better seasons, but it's still very good. I like the whole, there's a really solid through line throughout the season, of Holt going against John Kelly, the commissioner. And this John Kelly, he's the worst. He's a jerk, and that he's an interesting jerk. There's a really nice payoff of his antagonism, and how Jake creates this Suicide Squad of sorts, where they get a couple enemies from the previous 6 seasons, or 5 seasons, I suppose. Madeline Wunsch, the Vulture, and CJ, Captain Stentley, who are just, and that's just a fun group to get together to go against this even bigger jerk. And yeah, there's some really, really good standout episodes here. The Hitchcock and Scully episode is really, really funny, because it's revealed that Hitchcock and Scully used to be these cool hotshot detectives, and then they tasted chicken wings for the first time, and then they got old and fat and lazy. And that was hilarious. It doesn't make sense because they had flashbacks to the 70s and 80s in the previous seasons, where Hitchcock and Scully look exactly like they do in present time, but I don't know, continuity error. The show can't do all of that. And this episode kind of makes up for it. There's some really good episodes that this show is good at doing with the dramatic stuff. the He Said, She Said episode, where Amy tries to convince this female who's wronged in the workplace and who claims that she was harassed by one of her coworkers and broke his thing. It's a great episode. And then the Casecation episode, where Jake and Amy are in a hospital and debating about whether or not to have kids. And they're just some really, really good episodes here. So yeah, well, this season definitely has some filler episodes and a lot of filler storylines that I just really didn't care about. I think it works really, really well overall. It also provides a nice exit for Gina Linetti. So yeah. Number 6, Season 8, the final season. I probably had more problems with this season than I did with the 6th, but I think it makes up for it with the good stuff. So let's talk about that bad stuff first. I think the first episode overall is kind of mixed. Like, the very first scene of this first episode is it's not good. It's the characters just stating, well, this happened and also this happened, and it's like issues that happened in the past year with police brutality and the Black Lives Matter movement, stuff like that. And then there's just these weird subplots where Amy tries to make her and Holt seem like a romantic couple by following a romance book, and Boyle having white guilt, which is very believable for his character, but it's just awkward and kind of uncomfortable. And then the Game of Boyles episode where it's revealed Charles Boyle isn't actually a Boyle. But yeah. There is that, and I didn't really care about that episode, so yeah. But overall, I really enjoyed this season. I like that it actually has Jake and Amy dealing with being parents, as opposed to just sidelining their kid so they could do more storylines with them independently. Similarly to, what was that? Oh yeah, Parks and Recreation. In that show, Ben and Leslie have kids. After they have kids, the kids are like mentioned once an episode about how they are complete monsters and cause chaos everywhere they go. And this show, I was very nervous that they were going to do a similar thing about like just Jake and Amy randomly mentioning their kid named Mac just once every episode, like, oh, he's driving me insane. Let's get to dumb storylines. But no, that did not happen. They handled them having a kid in a very smart manner. So I liked that. The heavy and impactful stuff that this show is usually good at dealing with is handled really, really well. Like, the first episode is mixed overall, but the good stuff, the main plot with Jake and Rosa, that's great. That's a great episode. The season is very clear in highlighting the negative consequences of bad cops not taking responsibility for their bad actions, and sometimes even good cops not taking responsibility for their bad actions. Like, Jake owns up to a mistake, and he faces the consequences for it. That is an important thing, and it's handled really well. I think they did a good job of handling the Holt and Kevin relationship, because it's revealed in the first episode of the season that they split up, and they build it back up in a real feeling way. They got John C. McGinley in there as an antagonist named O'Sullivan, and he is such a good antagonist. Not only does he really work for this series, he's also really funny, and he feels like a real person. Like, you could buy that there are people out there who just want to excuse any cops for doing bad things, and he feels like a real character while also being funny. I mean, he's a shirk. He's an absolutely terrible person, but I gotta tell you, he's kind of amusing. Not because he's a terrible person, but for other reasons. And then the last episode, oh my god, it is freaking amazing. They decided to do a Halloween heist, or a non-specified holiday heist, for the last episode, and it is insane. It just keeps building and building and building. There's all these reappearances of characters that appeared before, like Gina and Pimento. Just It's incredible, and it ends on such a strong and powerful note. The main thing I'm disappointed about is that we didn't see a Bruce Willis cameo. Come on, people, what's up with that? But yeah, overall, this is a great final season for this show. I really enjoyed it. Number 5, season 2. There was one weird plot line that I didn't really like, and that was the whole thing with Charles and Gina. I didn't mind that they had relations. What I did mind was that their parents got together afterwards, making them like brother and sister. And that's very, very uncomfortable, especially like when it's first introduced. And in this season specifically, they kind of just shrug it off. They don't shrug it off in later seasons. They mention how weird it is. But they shrug it off here. And that was weird. But overall, I still really enjoyed this season. There's a nice mix of like fun episodes in there. And there's this cool storyline where Rosa is heading up a task force to track down this drug called Giggle Pig. Such a funny name. Anyway, Jake gets in a relationship with Eva Longoria, who plays the character of Sophia, and she's good. The Halloween Heist and Doug Judy episodes of this season are great. We're introduced to Madeline Wunsch, who is such a fun and delightful character who just goes against Holt in such an incredible way as they just banter back and forth. It's hilarious. You get kind of the introduction of Jake and Amy in there, especially in like the final episode. By the way, final episode is great. You get Holt leaving the 9-9 because he's heading up the public relations department because Wunsch made him do that. And the episode before the final episode where they track down a serial killer, and it's awesome. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this season. You could see that the show was really starting to hit its stride. And this is a show that hit its stride in the very first episode. No, not even its first episode. Its first 10 seconds. So yeah, I love this season. Number 4, season 1. The first season of the show. The one weird thing with this with this season was the character of Daniels. If you're a fan of the show, you're going to know what I'm talking about here. So, in the very first episode, when Terry is introducing the squad to Holt, he talks about Hitchcock and Scully, but he says Hitchcock, Scully, and Daniels. Of course, we know that Hitchcock and Scully would go on to become big main players in the show. But Daniels is never seen, mentioned, or brought up ever again. It is literally like she vanished off the face of the earth. Like, she's not in the background, she is nowhere. What happened to Daniels? Come on! I don't know. Anyway, so this first season is really impressive to me because usually shows like The Office and Parks and Rec will take a while to get it going. Because, like, if you watch the first season of The Office, it is cringeworthy. Like, Michael Scott is unbelievably unlikable in that season. The first season of Parks and Recreation is just plain very unfunny. Like, yeah, so some shows take their time to get to that sweet spot. This show, nope, they got it down in the first season, in the first episode. Heck, so we'd ordered the DVDs for this season, or this and the second season, and then when I was watching it, within 2 episodes, I was like, yep, I'm ordering more. I gotta watch this entire show. Because it's so good right from the get-go. Oh my god. The characters are really well established. I mean, the only thing that's not established about them, Rosa's voice is significantly higher pitched, and that's because the actress, Stephanie Beatriz, who is ridiculously talented, by the way, she can just switch her voice like that, with a drop of a hat. Boom. Why did I do that? Anyway, so, yeah. It's amazing. it it really gets into the swing of things right away. And not every show does that. The Halloween Heist, Doug Judy episodes, those are established really well. It has a really nice ending with Jake going undercover in the mafia. There's a really, really nice mix of these fun episodes with distinctly cop-based storylines. Storylines that you could only do in a show like this. And I will talk about that in a little bit here. And I don't know. It's just, they establish the characters, the humor, and the tone so well. The quintessential relationship between Jake and Holt that's the center of the show that brings it all together. It's great. Every single character is established right away. Like, Scully and Hitchcock in this episode are exactly the same in the last episode. Aside from her voice, Rosa, same as this one and in the last one. It is unbelievable to me that a show can do that. But this show did it. And this is not a normal show. This is like that once in a millennium, stars align perfect show. Okay, it's not a perfect show, but because of Debbie. Stupid Debbie. Anyway. Okay, number 3, season 3. Third season. Yes, of course it's the third season. Anyway. There's some filler episodes here. In fact, this season is mostly comprised of filler episodes. And they're good filler episodes, but I don't know, just this season has multiple episodes that focus on Jake trying to help Terry with something. And those are always just the least interesting episodes to me because they do so many of them. And like the first one where Jake is trying to help him with a vasectomy, I could have phrased that better. Terry wants to get a vasectomy, but Jake wants to stop him. Anyway, so yeah, but they do a lot of them in this season, and they're not always that great. They did a lot of them in season 2 as well, so yeah, but other than that, it works really well. I really like how they got Holt back to Captain, because it's much better than how they do it in season 7. I don't even remember much of how they do it in season 7. Anyway, so here Jake is working on this case about this guy called the Oolong Slayer, and he gets Holt to help him, and they fail at first, then they get it back going, whatever. And yeah, that's how Holt comes back. Jake gives the commissioner and the main police department credit, and in exchange for Captain Holt coming back. And it's really cool. So yeah, it's cool. You get the start of Jake and Amy, and they're great right from the beginning. The first episode was a bit of a rocky start for them as a couple, not in the writing department, not at all. The Halloween Heist, where Amy wins this time, and the Doug Judy episode on that cruise ship thing, those were great. The Christmas episode in this season, wow. Like, usually this show is pretty good at doing Christmas episodes. There's 4 of them that they did. And overall, they're good. Like, they're solid Christmas holiday episodes. But this one, Jake, Charles, and Gina get trapped in this big store, and these bad guys come in, and it's like Die Hard. And they do a lot of scenarios that play out like the movie Die Hard, where Terry is similar to Al Powell, where he's the guy on the outside. He has contact with people on the inside, and he's trying to get the authority figure, in this case the Vulture, to stop doing what he's doing and sending in people. So yeah. And then you get Boyle delivering the yippee-ki-yay line, except he says yippee-kayak other buckets instead of what John McClane actually says. It's such a good episode. It's amazing. Adrian Pimento, played by the amazing Jason Mantzoukas, is a great addition to the squad. He's really funny. He's deeply intense, and he's extremely hilarious. I already said he was funny. He's funny. He's really funny. He works really well with Rosa and with Jake and with everybody, honestly. I like that Boyle finds love, the perfect woman for him. who eats octopus tentacles and everything. Sorry, octopus testicles. Yeah, important to clarify that. The last 4 episodes of this season are fantastic. You got this introduction to this with the coming back of Adrian Pimento, who used to work for this dude called Jimmy the Butcher Figgis. And in the last 4 episodes, we learn that Figgis is trying to hunt him down. And it's we learn that he has an agent inside the FBI, and we get to meet Bob Anderson, played by Dennis Haysbert. I said Anderson like that because he has 2 N's in his name, so it's like Annderson. Yeah, so there's that. We learn that he's the actual informant inside of the FBI, so yeah. And so the last 4 episodes, Paranoia, Maximum Security, Bureau, and Greg and Larry are great. And the season ends, the last scene is Jake and Holt in a witness protection program, referring to one another as Greg and Larry in what looks like somewhere down south. I don't know. We gotta wait a whole year before we find out. Oh, wait. It's available on Peacock. I have Peacock, so yeah. Anyway, it's a great season. It has a lot of hallmarks of the show, and it's just really good overall. Number 2, season 4. I feel like the one negative of the season is that they spent a solid, let's say 7 or 8 episodes building up Jimmy the Butcher Figgis in the last season, in season 3. And when they introduce him, he's played by Eric Roberts. Eric Roberts is the brother of Julia Roberts, and he was in The Dark Knight as Sal Maroni. So, I feel like they could have gotten somebody to play him that was a little more menacing, whose most memorable line wasn't, Peralta! I didn't actually do that laugh thing. But yeah, I pronounced Jake's name like Peralta, and it bothered me. So, yeah, I wish he was a little bit cooler. But overall, it's just really good. There's some really, really cool storylines in here, like the precinct being shut down. And what's interesting about that is in the episode where they might definitively find out if the precinct is being shut down, Gina is live tweeting everything that she's doing and pranking everybody, and she actually records this cool speech that Holt makes, which causes people online to be like, hey, we don't want your precinct to be shut down, what can we do? And that's very similar to how the show was canceled after season 9. Not season 9, season 5. And a lot of fans of the show were like, no, don't cancel this show, it's amazing. So then NBC picked it up. So either that's a crazy coincidence how fans have now saved the 9-9 twice. Once in the show and once in the real world. That is insane. And this was season 4. This was before the show was canceled by Fox and picked up by NBC. That's awesome. There's some great bookends. The Coral Palms with Jake and Holt being trapped in Florida and trying to get attention from Figgis. They're just really solid 3 episodes. It really wraps up the storylines that were set up in season 3 really well. Aside from the reveal of Figgis, that was just weird. And then by the end of the season, we learn that Jake and Rosa have been framed for being bank robbers, and then they get sentenced to 15 years in prison. And the last maybe 3 episodes or so are just fantastic. Oh man, where Jake and Rosa are inducted by this lady named Melanie Hawkins, who's a lieutenant in the NYPD, who we learned is actually dirty and she's a bank robber. And Hawkins busts them. She sets them up. They get put on trial. They get help from the garbage man from Spider-Man 2. And then it turns out he's working for them, and then they get sentenced to 15 years in jail. It's a great little story arc in there. There's some really, really cool little episodes in there. The Fugitive. It's a 2-part episode where these 9 convicts escape from jail. You get a cameo from Marshawn Lynch. I believe that's this episode. And on the part 2 is a Doug Judy episode, so that's cool. Boyle has a kid. The heist episode is great. And then there is the episode entitled Moo Moo, in which Terry is profiled by this other officer, like, right in front of his own house. And the way they deal with this is so unbelievably smart, and it's handled so well. Like, oh man, there's moments where you think that this cop dude is gonna apologize, where he actually apologizes to Terry. They don't realize he doesn't regret what he did. He only regrets what he did because he didn't realize that Terry was a cop. It's an amazing episode that handles what would actually happen in that scenario really, really well. You get some of the best acting that Terry Crews has ever done for this character. So overall, it's a great season of television with great bookends and just overall fantastic. But number 1 is season 5. The one thing I didn't really care about in this season was the episode Nutriboom, where Jake and Boyle investigate this pyramid scheme that was set up in the Halloween heist episode for this season. It's not a great episode, but it is tied on to the heist episode, which is probably the best heist episode that they ever did, except maybe the last episode of season 8. Yeah, anyway. In the opening of this season has Jake and Rosa in prison, and it looks like all hope is lost as Jake is about to be like killed by these gangs inside of this prison, and then they get out. They're home free. It's a great 2-parter episode and a great opening for the season. There's some really fun episodes in the first half of the season. It's like the best kind of filler that this show ever had. The last episode is phenomenal, where you get Jake and Amy getting married, the engagement which is tied into the Halloween heist in like the 4th episode of the series. It's great. I like that it deals with the consequences of Jake and Rosa having been in prison. Like, Jake, there's an episode where Jake questions whether or not a guilty man is in fact guilty because he doesn't want to put anything through what he went through in prison. And that's just a really smart way to do that. Pimento gets his own episode where he just shows up, and he's just a great wild card to be there. And you get some great comeuppance for Hawkins. And so yeah, I love this season. Rosa comes out as bisexual in this season, and it's handled so well. There's this great episode where she comes out to her parents, and they're not as accepting as she'd like them to be, and the squad and Jake they're so supportive, and they handle it so well. This show handles everything so well. How is it possible? There's this episode called Show Me Going, where Rosa turns up at an active shooter situation, and the squad kind of copes with this, and Jake just wants to help, and he tries to ignore it and push it down and bury it deep, and he tries to get the others to do that too, but he ends up by confronting his feelings, and Rosa turns out okay. But because, I mean, they weren't going to do that. Like, there's no way they would do that, especially to one of the main characters. But it's just a great episode. And then, to top it all off, this season has one of the best, like, runs. There's, like, a 6-episode run in this season where they're, like, top 15 best of the entire series. The episode 9-9, in which the gang goes on a road trip, and they visit Nakatomi Plaza, which is cool, and we learn that Holt might run for commissioner, and we learn that he accepted information to get Jake and Rosa out of prison from this mobster named Seamus Murphy. In the next episode is Game Night, where Rosa comes out to her parents, and there's that whole thing, and they're not super nice about it. And her dad is actually played by Danny Trejo, and that's, like, perfect casting. There's The Favor, which is where Seamus Murphy cashes in on his favor with Holt, and there's, like, chaos that ensues inside the episode. his nephew is involved in it, and then once Holt arrests his nephew to protect him from Seamus is like, I'm gonna kill your husband. Ha 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 ha. And then the next episode is called Safe House, where Jake and Holt's husband Kevin are locked up in the safe house together and then watch Nicolas Cage movies, and it's cool. And they end up taking down Murphy. The next episode is The Negotiation, which is a Doug Judy episode. I like Doug Judy. He's cool. And then there's The Box. And The Box is maybe my favorite episode of the entire series. It's Jake and Holt grilling this dude, played by Sterling K. Brown, because they're so very sure that he killed his business partner, but they just need him to crack. It is a brilliantly crafted episode with an amazing performance from Sterling K., who is always fantastic. Some great acting from Sandberg and Brower, who play Jake and Holt respectively. It's just an all-around phenomenal episode. It's an all-around phenomenal season. And, as if it couldn't get any better, Reginald VelJohnson, Al Powell from Die Hard, shows up in the Bachelor and Bachelorette Party episode, and it's a great cameo. Anyway, so yes, I love this season. I love this show. There's not a bad season. I'm just ranking them for fun because I wanted to do something to commemorate the final episode coming out. Probably around Halloween time, I'll rank all the Halloween heist episodes. That should be fun. Anyway, so comment your own list of these seasons. Do you love this show as much as I do? If you don't, that's okay. I mean, if you love the show even more than I do, I didn't even know that was possible. Let me know. So, yes, thank you for watching. I apologize for my mistakes throughout this video. There were many, I know. And keep calm and watch on.